Alrighty, Chef Nation. I hope everybody's being safe during this whole coronavirus outbreak, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully, everybody's being safe and taking parameters and all that, and hopefully, none of you have it. If you do, be safe, get well soon. Alright, so I was gonna do an episode. What episode are we on? Like 8? Review of Star Trek Picard, but after watching episode 9 part 1 of the season finale, I literally did not want to do a review on episode 8, only because episode 8 was kind of the preempt to what was witnessed on episode 9, which was pretty much Star Trek trying to build a marriage with Star Wars in a way that should never happen. It should never ever be thought of. Pretty much, long story short, in the previous episode before this one, Picard ends up finding out the location of the synthetic planet, and they end up finding the synthetic planet, which is pretty fucking cool. And then you find out the synthetic planet is nothing but twins. They're born out of twins. So Maddox and Soon, when they made these batches of synthetics, they made them in pairs of 2. So in the previous episode before this one, you find out that there was a pair of synthetics that made first contact with Rios and his captain on a spacecraft, which was, I can't remember, like, oh god, I can't remember. It was like Night Flower, something Flower. And then Gianna. Well, when Rio saw Soji for the first time, he freaked the fuck out because he's like, nope, that's Gianna. And found out it was a synthetic. And so they pretty much figured out, okay, we got to get her home. Well, they get her home. And they meet Soon, which is played by Brent Spiner. So that was actually kind of cool to see. And you meet Gianna's twin, which was whatever, Nightflower, whatever the fuck her name is. And it's like, she meets Agnes. And Agnes pretty much tells her, hey, I have a message, but I don't want to, And so, explain to me how a fucking synthetic who, quote unquote, at that point in time is like fascinated with Romulans and their history and their heritage and shit automatically knows how to mind meld. So she does a mind meld to Agnes to the point where it's kind of cool because it slowed everything that you saw in the first time that you saw the mind meld happen, where it had flashes. It slowed everything down, so you were actually able to see and hear the message, which if you were a synthetic, the message was interpreted to you as, be very cautious of your creator because your creators live, breathe, and die. And they will start to, regret ever making you, which they will retaliate. In the human sense, it's interpreted as, do not fuck with synthetics because these motherfuckers will fucking go crazy and pretty much kill you. So, and it's all about the destroyer, the synthetics. The synthetics are technically the destroyers of all human life, all human race, all planets that involve humans. So, they're at a kind of a little teeter-totter of trying to figure out what to do. So, and this is where everything kind of starts falling off the rails. It's like they catch Romulan boy because he ended up finding a way through the fucking, they managed to like fucking light speed 25 light years in like 15 minutes, which is pretty fucking cool. They didn't do the bullshit that they did in the Rise of Skywalker, where they're like, we're just gonna space jump, like hyperspeed jump, and we're gonna go from one point and then stop and then go to another. No, these motherfuckers did it right. They did it right. So they catch up with Romulan boy. The synthetics catch him. They're like, we got a prisoner, and they're trying to figure out what to do with him because he's in the barracks, and he's like, I'm thirsty, and and one of the synthetics goes, we've never had a prisoner before. How do the Romulans treat prisoners? And homeboy's like, well, let's change the subject. Because I'm like, right? It's like, you wouldn't be getting that glass of water, my friend. You wouldn't get shit. So he's working her over to the point where she's getting ready to like let him pretty much out, and like Soji comes up and is like, no. This is where it gets this is where they tried to make Star Trek and Star Wars into a fucking ideal marriage. So Soji comes up, he's all Romulan boy. I'm not even gonna say his name Narek anymore because he's just Romulan boy. Walks up and puts his hand up against the force field. He's like, oh my god, I missed you. And she's like, yeah, you know, pretty much like, you know, you manipulated the. He's like, no. He's like, what I did, you know, that whole little thing, that whole little process that I took you to, it messed you up with your mind and And she's like, nope. And then, of course, here comes the iconic Star Wars fucking line where he literally looks at her and he has his hand up, kind of all Titanic style. And he's like, I love you. And then she looks at him and goes, I know. Fucking shame on y'all for putting that into this episode. Shame on you. Like, once that happened, I was like, well, okay, it can only get worse. Which it does, because by the time the episode ends, you got Brent Spiner's character looking at Picard going, we're going to put you under house arrest. Who in their right mind would do that? We're going to put you under house arrest? Like, how old are we? We were doing semi-okay with it. Like, okay, this first season for me, and I'm going to do an overall season 1 recap and review. But so far, I mean, it was doing okay. It wasn't like knocking me out of the park every episode I saw. But it was doing okay up until this last episode right here. The episode before the season finale conclusion. It's like, Picard, finally fucking comes to terms with he's dying. He lets everybody know, which is kind of sad because it was a brief moment where he brings it up and he's like, I don't want y'all treating me like I'm a dying man. It's going to piss me off, which is, respectable, understandable. But they didn't really go into it. It's like, okay, you're dying. End of discussion. On to the next. I need status reports on blah, 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 blah. It's like, wait, what? Hold up, dude. Like, you just pretty much told your crew that this is like your last ride. And then once you're done, they're pretty much on their own. Like, you just let them know that this is a one-way ticket for you, bro. And that they all have to figure out what the fuck they gotta do in order to survive once you're gone. But here's the tricky thing. And here's where I'm gonna predict the shit out of it, and I think, and I hope to God I'm not right, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna be dead right, because in this particular episode, Agnes and Soon are in his laboratory and he's got butterflies. He created butterflies and he's like, I miss butterflies. And I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. And he's like, can I show you something? Well, he reveals what looks like a synthetic human. But the difference with this synthetic human was that it showed a brain, a human brain, that he wants to take a human, okay? A human that's pretty much on their last fucking leg to give them life. Everlasting life. So I'm thinking, some scientific fucking way, they're going to try to put Picard's brain into this synthetic body so he is forever. So he lives on forever as a synthetic. So he can be the new ruler of the synthetics. Run this shit. I swear to God, if this is true, if this is any remotely true, I do not know how they're going to make this through fucking season 2. Because this is just falling off the rails. It's like this last episode, they were starting to run out of shit. Like, the set pieces were cool, and it's like, can somebody explain to me how the fuck we've got flying fucking flowers in the galaxy? I mean, visually, the lotus flowers were visually stunning. CGI fucking on point, but we didn't get, what the fuck were they there for? Like, all they did was they captured Rios' ship and cut the power and then descended into the fucking thing. And then next thing you know, you see a Borg cube, the Borg cube that 7 and 9 commandeered, coming through, and you think, oh shit, you know, Borg, she's coming to action. No, what do? The little lotuses suck onto the fucking 4 cubes and bring that shit down with it. It's like, what? It makes, this episode to me made no fucking sense. The only sense that it made was the fact that they actually made it to the synthetic world to get the message out to the synthetics going, hey, shit's going down. The Romulans are coming. There's over 218 warbirds coming at you. We need to figure out a plan. We've got a ship that could take all of y'all out. And they're like, no, we're going to stand here and fight. After the fact that we just saw what's in her head, we're going to fight. We're going to be the destroyers. It's like, fuck. Well, good on you, player, because this, oh god, dude, this ass episode, I mean, really, I could get upset with Star Trek episodes and get over them very quickly. But for this one, it really stuck with me for, like, it's been sticking with me since Thursday. I watched this on Thursday, and here we are on Saturday, and I've just barely found the words to come up with this, because I was like, should I do a review? No, because this is a rant. There's nothing to review about this, is the fact that Star Trek tried to make a marriage with Star Wars, and it was the sickest way possible. How dare you take an iconic line from Harrison Ford himself and carry the late, great Princess Carrie Fisher on such an iconic part in that movie where it made sense, and you put it into this show where it makes no sense. None. Like, all he was pretty much trying to get into her going, hey, I can activate her and figure out what the fuck and then destroy her. And she's looking at him like, well, he's a nice piece of ass, I'll give him the time of day. Like, the fuck? Like, this is like, it's falling off the rails. It fell off the fucking rails for me. I know most people thought it was a damn pretty good episode, but for me, this kid, for the first time in Star Trek history, in my 34 years of watching Star Trek, it fell off the fucking rails. I've seen some episodes that have derailed a little bit, but they brought it back. This episode derailed, and then just, it kept going. It kept going. And then it's like we got part 2, the epic conclusion, where we got Picard on house arrest trying to convince Soji not to do what she's gonna do and be the destroyer. Like, fuck, man. Like, I'm done with Soji. I'm done with Agnes. Like, after she killed, fucking Maddox, and then she's like, I got suicidal tendencies. That's fine. Kill yourself, because nobody on that show, nobody on that ship is gonna be like, oh, man, I really miss her. Fuck no, you got a hospitality, you got a fucking EMH. Boom. You don't really need a doctor on this fucking, you don't really need her ass anymore. You don't need her bitch ass no more. Like, you got an EMH for that shit. Like, let her go. Let her go. Like, if anything, they should let her just stay on the goddamn planet once everything's all fucking said and done. Just let her be. Let her be. Like, let her make synthetics, because, like, oh, God, dude, like, this is, whoa! This is a bad episode. This is a bad episode, y'all. I mean, we're nine episodes in, and I thought we were doing okay. These episodes for me were solid 5s. Some of it, like, there was like maybe one episode in that was like a 7. But everything else has been a 5. This episode pretty much was like, why do we even have this? Like, I'm glad we addressed the issue of, oh, the synthetic, they're made as pairs. They're not made as singles. That's cool. I like that. I can dig it. Okay, that makes sense on why there's 2. Okay. Other than that, fuck them. That was a bad episode. Oh my god. I mean, I can't even say any more about this episode. So this is where I'm probably going to end it. And yeah. So, like, share, subscribe. We were like, oh my god. I think we're 6 or 5 subscribers away from 100. So if we can get 5 more subs, man, it's gonna be epic. I'm gonna try to do like a really cool 100th sub live stream, and yeah, have like a little 100 live stream party, because this is epic. I'm almost to my first milestone, so I like to accomplish that goal. So everybody, be safe, take care of each other, wash your hands. It's a crazy world. We all got to help each other out and stay safe, everybody. So, peace and love. Till the next video or live stream. Later, everybody.